When I was a kid, I dreamt of being an astronaut. I was always fascinated by the moon, I memorized the constellation names, and I could identify all the planets. It took me some time to accept my dream would never come true. It didn't mean the fascination had to die. I believe an entire generation got shocked after watching 2001: A Space Odyssey for the first time in 1968, even before man could step on the moon. This could be considered the birth of NASApunk, with its realistic approach, scientific accuracy, and modern but believable aesthetics. I'm Freddie, and here we are, over 50 years later from 2001's release date, so I can give you a writer's perspective on how Starfield, Interstellar and The Expanse consolidated NASApunk as a genre. Let's go! Needless to say, what everything NASApunk has in common is their futuristic settings. This genre often centers on space exploration, which in reality is a futuristic endeavor. What possibly is out there that we don't know? Possibilities are endless, and so is imagination. NASApunk is about thinking what space exploration might look like in centuries to come and what technological advancements we'll need to survive the unknown. Even though current scientific knowledge is mandatory, speculation plays a big role in NASApunk. By setting stories in the future, creators can incorporate theories and concepts that may not yet exist. The black hole in Interstellar, until not long ago, was considered one of the most realistic depictions of a black hole by astrophysicists. There's a sense of wonder, mystery, and discovery when the subject is the future. Exploring uncharted territories, finding extraterrestrial life, unraveling the mysteries of the cosmos. Notice how always there's something beyond our comprehension to be dealt with. Portals, artifacts. The fact that snowboarding and surfing are the same thing with different water temperatures. I mean, the universe is rich in wisdom. You just gotta know where to seek. By the way, if you're a NASApunk fan, such as myself, and you're new here, consider subscribing.
Can't we just let it go?
When it comes to photography and direction, there's a contrast. It's common to experiment with minimalistic compositions using depth of field and wide shots to capture the beauty of a vast location, evoking the solitude of space travel, most times highlighted by the Gestalt principle of continuity, referring to the assumption that the elements displayed will continue way beyond the screen edges. However, close-up shots are also key, because set designers will give huge attention to spacecraft interiors. There's something oddly satisfying about watching hands-on manipulation of controls and switches up close. I love how in this genre all the procedures matter. There is attention to the technical aspects of space travel, such as launch sequences, orbital maneuvers, docking. Other genres would overlook this, but here directors use creative camera angles to portray every step of the way.
Stage 2, separation.
All feeds going manual.
Directors will prioritize natural lighting in the open and sometimes contrast natural with artificial. It's beautiful to see the changing angles of starlight and the glow of radioactive elements on the surface. Combine this with dynamic camera movements to immerse the viewers in the space environment, like tilts for us to have a vertical reference, or rotations that could represent even inertia, transmitting nausea to the audience. In NASApunk, spaceships, settlements, gadgets, and weapons are designed with a sense of engineering feasibility. The Expanse, for example, introduces the Epstein drive, which made the solar system accessible for the humans to colonize. There's a tendency to avoid the glamorous portrayals of space travel common in some other sci-fis. Environmental storytelling is essential to succeed in this genre. Art directors incorporate visual cues that tell stories about the history of space exploration, about a faction, about a character, or about a location.
Why?
In case the ghost is trying to communicate.
The UC's museum in Starfield is a masterclass in lore construction. It not only tells players what happened, but it conveys the importance of what happened, helping you decide what you think about the factions, who to side with, and what to do next. Physics and the challenges of space travel are central to NASApunk. Concepts like inertia, gravity, and the limitations of propulsion systems are more strictly explored. In The Expanse, Gunny struggles when she comes to Earth and gravity even has she learning how to walk properly again. Same when Naomi decides to land on Nilus, feeling the pain of her bones crushing her joints. It's common for the NASApunk genre to bring political and social implications of space exploration. It examines issues related to resource scarcity, power dynamics, AI usage, and even the boundaries of war if there are any. There was a point in The Expanse that all factions needed to have the proto-molecule just because only one faction having it created a huge imbalancing leverage. Social-political dynamics give the audience a glimpse of what is to live in a complicated new era, reflecting the complexities of colonization and hierarchy between factions. In Starfield, it invites players to go deeper into the lore so they can make the right call while joining a faction. Learning politics and history in that universe will help you make choices, just like in real life, I guess. After we choose, then we'll negotiate alliances, manage diplomatic relations, and address conflicts. Because we're talking about different mediums here, we might be talking about different tones, different styles, and of course, different scopes. Each one of them have a special charm.
How do you mean?
Interstellar is a film, meaning it presents less characters, less storylines, and less locations. Being a more condensed experience means the pace is fast and the characters should play a stronger role than every other aspect of that universe. Doesn't matter how huge that universe could be, the focus here is on how these characters understand and feel that universe, so the locations and the events that actually are worth mentioning need to impact directly these characters. Every great story is focused on characters, this way becoming more relatable, thus evoking our emotions. How the challenges discussed in NASApunk can make you cry, smile, bite your nails. Watch Interstellar and find it for yourself. The Expanse is a TV series adapted from a book series, meaning it brings way more characters, storylines, and locations. Having a longer runtime means we can get to know a deeper background of that universe, so it makes more sense to add extra layers of complexity. Discussions about religion, politics, poverty, romance, family, it's common to see everything all at once. Not only for the main characters, but for many of them. Some won't even interact most of the time, and it's nice when their stories converge into a greater event. Here we tend to visit more places, see more contrasts, hear more accents, and overall the story evolves dramatically slower. Because we have a bigger runtime, we have more time to see more technology and more time to learn about science. In many ways, it's easier to visualize how our life would be when watching series or reading books solely because we have more elements to compare with our lives today. Then Starfield is an RPG, giving players freedom to approach that universe pretty much the way they want. This leads us to the main differences all these mediums have. When we're watching films or series, we don't choose where to go, what to do there, who to go with. We just watch and hope for the best. Then in the end, we cry anyway. But on Starfield, we can be lawful or evil, talk or shoot. We have to make the best decisions, mine and loot resources, build our own outposts, spaceships, weapons, do researches, and even make food. The characters and storylines we get to know, the enemies and creatures we face, the factions we join, where we live and what we do, who lives and who dies, who likes the video and who doesn't, almost everything depends on us. What if we just wander those thousands of planets taking photos, No Man's Sky style? We can. What if we actually want to solve the mysteries of the universe? We can. Little bit of both? Hell yeah, count me in. Even on a smaller scale, science is kind of a nasty to the characters. I mean lack of oxygen, radiation exposure, gravity adaptation, asteroid impacts, wormholes, black holes, even relativistic effects, but what is NASApunk without nature playing a role beyond the character's knowledge, without a mystery that apparently has no solution? You'll hear people saying that NASApunk is when the space feels real, when things are believable. For me, one of its greatest tricks is to twist this perception. For me, it's when the real meets the unreal, when the believable meets the unbelievable. That's when we know how great that story could be. In Interstellar, we have the Tesseract and all the quest for solving the gravity equation. In The Expanse, we have the proto-molecule and the ring gates. In Starfield, we have the artifact. In 2001, we have the monolith. This happens because it'd be crazy to think about space without even mentioning the undiscovered. We don't even know the depths of our oceans. It's arrogant to think the infinite universe doesn't bring secrets with it. It's crazy to think we're alone. You know how crazy this is? We keep on talking about other ways of life, but we never ask when. Human life as we know is pretty recent. And you know how old the universe is? Maybe there was life like ours somewhere else before. Maybe there will be life like ours billions of years from now.
To meet someone require 4 numbers. Basically, 4 coordinates. 3 space coordinates and 1 time coordinate. You never said to your friend, I'll meet you at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Where? You never said, I'll meet you at the corner of 33rd and 3rd. When?
Creating a game that effectively represents the NASApunk style would require some specific mechanics. In Starfield, traveling through space even takes into account energy allocation. You have to manage the functionality of your ship based on what action you want to do, adding a more strategic layer to what otherwise would be pretty straightforward. Therefore, because of the stats, shipbuilding gets even more important. It makes more sense, as players have to think way beyond aesthetics only. That's pure Kerbal Space Program here, where realism is also mandatory for the game to be fun. Players expect a physics-based gameplay from NASApunk titles. Starfield and Kerbal are exceptional in this area. Dealing with momentum, inertia, propulsion, and gravity is not only plausible, it's cool. Resource management in Starfield is both for it being NASApunk and an RPG. In the endless space, endless are also the things you could carry. By setting a weight limit to both the character and the ship, everything you feel like carrying needs to be heavily considered. It becomes a decision. Players gotta predict if whatever they're carrying will be useful in the future and learn how to let go of that awesome helmet they just found. We also need to manage health, oxygen, consumables, ammo, repairing, maintaining, people. The crew need good weapons. Space on the ship, and your relationship with them needs to be healthy. Just imagine being isolated in space with someone you can't stand. After all that, you want a place to rest, right? Starfield got you covered with mechanics for building and maintaining habitats, where you can mine resources, sleep, have companions help you, or only decorate and chill if you want. Wouldn't you just chill if you could pick anywhere in the galaxy? However, in Starfield, research and exploration are also an option. They want us to make experiments. Players can mess with the labs and the stove, both requiring going out there and bringing stuff in. One aspect of NASApunk that always gets me hyped is the soundtrack. I enjoy the way they use an eerie silence in key moments to remind us their stories about space. Remember that 2001 scene where Frank was adrift in the void and all we could hear was breath and silence? Still, the scene managed to be tense. Then, when there's music, the compositions tend to be minimalistic, with heavy use of reverb, like the sound is traveling long distances, enhancing the sense of isolation. Because of this, the music has a great margin to grow and deliver epic apex moments, which helps building the tension for a long time. That's what Hans Zimmer does in Interstellar in one of its greatest scenes. The score can blend modern electronic with classical orchestration to create a unique sonic palette. 2001 determined that orchestrated music suited space really well. Star Wars popularized this idea. Halo brought one of the greatest themes to video games later on, and now Starfield brings another banger, but it doesn't mean you can't have different takes. Despite bringing a beautifully sung orchestrated opening theme, The Expanse brings lots of modern beats to its overall score, reminding us about the action-packed nature of the series, which is completely different from Deliver Us the Moon, a journey you embark with pretty much only yourself. I know NASApunk is only a component of what makes literature great, but watching all these films and playing all these games remind me that being out there could be anything. It could be everything. When I was a little boy, I thought the impossible was possible just to get disappointed later on. Then I watch Interstellar, then I play Starfield, and it makes me believe the space is within my reach. Now if you ask me where I'm going, the answer will be to the stars. For more things Starfield, Interstellar, The Expanse, and NASApunk, subscribe. I got a lot more to share, not only about them, but about many things we love. Till the next time.